Right, so this is going to help you understand why you might find it so hard to exercise and why you'd find it so hard to consistently exercise, why you find it so hard to stop consuming the things that you shouldn't be consuming or reducing it, and why you find it so hard to consume the things that you need to be doing and enough of it. So you might not make sense, this might not make sense, it will in a bit, so run with me on this one, because once you understand this, it's easier to overcome certain situations. And what this is known as like retraining the biological system, and anyone can do this, and there's very simple little tactics that you can do to help. So your hormones are like chemical messages, and anytime you do something, it sends a chemical message up to the brain. Now, let's say, for example, you eat 100 times a day, hypothetically or metaphorically. That's 100 messages getting sent to your brain, and you can quantify this. You can quantify how much it is, what it is, if it's sugar, if it's not sugar, whatever it may be. But let's say you eat 100 times a day, there's 100 chemical messages sent to the brain. If you've done this for, say, 5 years, your body used to having 100 chemical messages sent to the brain saying it's consuming food. So if all of a sudden you're like, right, I want to eat 50 times a day, not 100, the same amount, what then happens the day after, you have only 50 chemical messages sent to the brain. Throughout that day, your brain's going to send messages down to the stomach saying, where's the food? The first day might not feel too hard, but when you do it the second day, your body's going to go start a bit panicky, thinking, hang on a second, we're not used to this. We're not used to only having 50, consuming 50 times. We want the other 50 times. So it'll send more chemical messages and send more signals to try and encourage you to have the other 50 quantities or 50 sittings of eating. After the first week, your body will go a bit haywire and be like, why are we not doing this? And that's when you can feel down, you can feel depressed, you can feel annoyed, you can really have a bad impact to you, and that's why it's very hard to change. However, if you kept doing it, your body then resets and it gets used to having only 50 or consuming 50 times a day. So when people go through a weight loss journey, they change their lifestyle. And when they change the lifestyle, they change the biological system, and they change the kind of messages that get sent to the brain. Give an example. And what happens, this is the before, and they've got to transition, and you have to transition to be able to, 1, lose weight, but 2, to be able to keep it off. People will tend to live a lifestyle that is unhealthy, which is like consuming a lot of alcohol, consuming loads of takeaway, drinking far too much coffee than they need to. And let's say, for example, they used to having 100 coffees within a weekly period. Their body's used to having 100 coffees within the weekly period. They're used to having at least 3 takeaways a week. Their body's having chemical messages sent to the brain that they have 3 takeaways a week. If they don't have a takeaway within that week, their body's going to send a chemical message saying, where's our takeaway? We're so used to having takeaway. And the same with alcohol. If they're used to consuming alcohol. When you transition over, let's say, for example, you go over to the healthier side, and then you start exercising on days that you're normally resting, the first week is probably not too bad because your body's having something different. But what will happen, like the second week after, when you exercise, your body's going to be like, hang on a second, we don't normally exercise, we're normally relaxing or doing something different. And your body will try and encourage you to go back to your original lifestyle, what it's used to. So transitioning can be very hard because you're changing your biological system, you're changing the messages that get sent to your brain and what your body's used to. Now, one of the greatest ways to be able to change it into the healthier zone is to do far more than you need to at the beginning, and then it makes everything easier. If you do less in the beginning and you try and increase it, it becomes harder, and I'll explain why. I'm going to explain it in an exercise way, which will make it be easier to understand. Let's say, for example, you want to do push-ups and you want to get better at push-ups. If you want to be like, I want to be able to do 20 push-ups comfortably, and you start off by doing only 2 push-ups a day, so your body gets accustomed to only doing 2, and you do that every day for a week, and then it's like, oh, let's move it up to 4 times a day. So you go from 2 to 4 is more strenuous. You're going to have to do double the amount, and then you increment it, so it gets harder and harder. However, you can bulk into this. So let's say, for example, you just went hell's bells and you thought, right, I'm going to do 20 push-ups a day. It's going to be difficult, but I'm going to do 20 push-ups a day. If you do that every single day, you get accustomed to it. So it becomes easier far quicker if you do more. Now, for example, if you're someone who has to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, and you have to set yourself an alarm at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you only wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you most likely always have to have that alarm because that's the time your body's accustomed to. If you pushed yourself and made yourself wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning each morning for 2 weeks, I know it's a bit extreme, but it works massively. After that 2 weeks, you're not going to have to set an alarm. You won't have to set an alarm for 7 o'clock in the morning, and 7 o'clock is going to feel like a bit of a lie-in. So when it comes to exercising and healthily and nutrition-wise, it's good to do a lot at the beginning, and then everything else becomes far easier. With exercising, if you do more exercising to begin with, let's say for example you exercise twice a day every day for 75 days, is quite a good program that gets people to do this. By the end of 75 days, you know, working out 3 to 5 times a week is going to feel like a breeze, and that's what people need to do to remain in a healthy position. We put people through what is known as a detox, which is difficult but very powerful. And within that detox, we encourage people to reduce, well, cut out as much caffeine as possible, all fizzy drinks, all sugar and stuff like that. So it's quite hard, but by the end of it, the amount of caffeine they crave is far less, the amount of sugar they crave is far less, to the point where people completely change. You know, we've had people who will drink like 2 litres of Coke every single day to not drinking it at all, just because they do so much within such a short period of time. It helps prime their body and changes their biological system. So these are the reasons why people find it so hard to implement exercise into their lifestyle. But these are some unhealthy ways, nutrition, consumption, the likes of. But these are little tips that you can do to help change that biological system. And now you have a bit of an understanding and awareness of why you do find it difficult and why mind playing tricks on you to try and get back you to your original lifestyle. It's just the transition period. And if you don't power through the transition period, you'll always end up going backwards and you never progress forwards. And what tends to happen, people try and live both lifestyles, live the lifestyle that keeps them in the body that they don't want to be with, and try and sprinkle on top what they need to do to change. It doesn't work. You have to change your lifestyle in order you to change. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the guilty pleasure of life. You just have to reduce it and have 8% healthy, 20% bad, and you have a great outcome. Hopefully that helps. Golden little nugget for today. Apart from that, take care. See you soon.